Tulsa to Oklahoma City, toll. Oklahoma City to Lawton, toll. I-40 to the middle of nowhere. Yep, that'll be a toll too. So when you enter Oklahoma for the first time, one of the first things you're going to notice is the large number of toll roads. Now, tolls are nothing new or unusual, but in this part of the country, they're not so common. And Oklahoma actually has the second most of them out of any other state in the country. Now, some of these roads are very important and connect the major population centers of the state, while some others seemingly connect nowhere with nowhere. But overall, Oklahoma is one of the states where you're going to have a very difficult time getting around if you dare set your navigation app to avoid tolls. And the US government actually considers Oklahoma a southern state. So outside of some parts of Texas and Florida, tolls aren't really that common. You see, down here, we're more used to our free highways. So why does Oklahoma have so many of them? Well, on this video, we're going to find out. Hit that like button, subscribe if you love the content, and let's take a trip to Tullahoma. So the first thing we need to understand about road building in Oklahoma is the history. Back in 1947, Oklahoma found itself with little money to build roads. So logically, the state decided that toll roads would be the solution to getting the finances to connect the various population centers of the state. Thus, the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority was created in 1947. Its first mission? To connect the largest cities of Tulsa and Oklahoma City and what became the Turner Turnpike. The turnpike was financed with $38 million in bonds and was to be made a free roadway once the bonds were paid off. The state government loved this pay-as-you-go formula so much that they ended up letting the Turnpike Authority create more and more toll roads. It was praised by the governor as a way to get several roads built without costing the state any money. So as time went on, turnpike after turnpike was constructed, one after another. But one interesting note, the tolls still remain on all of these roads. Yes, even the Turner Turnpike from 1947 is still tolled here in 2024. But why? Does it really take 60 to 80 years to pay off a toll road? Where is the toll revenue going? Well, first, the state had issues with its budget in the 1950s, shortly after the Turner Turnpike opened. What better way to compensate than to keep the toll revenue flowing? And as such, the tolls became permanent. And now let's go back to the bonds. With this system of bondholders and profit being the motivator behind building the turnpikes, rather than the actual mobility of the people of Oklahoma, it behooves the Turnpike Authority and its bondholders to continue building as many turnpikes as possible to keep that money flowing. When the debt of these roads is close to being paid off, new bonds are issued and new roads are constructed. This is why you currently see some toll roads in the state that seemingly connect farmland with grass and hills. Nowhere to nowhere. Oklahoma doesn't really have that many population centers, but somehow has all of these roads. And now let's get back to the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority and further explore the reason for these roads to nowhere and why they keep getting built. An article in the Oklahoman by Catherine Hirschfield does a good job of explaining the situation. According to this article, the Turnpike Authority is in a very powerful position in the state. It has the government power to use eminent domain to build its turnpikes, but at the same time is able to sidestep federal regulations since it does not use federal money. They do not have to consult with the public nor disclose their records to the public. Only the state governor has power over this organization. As things currently sit, over half of all revenue from these roads is allocated to servicing the debt. Over the next 20 years, and over $1 billion in interest is anticipated to be paid by 2048. Yikes. But wait, there is more. The new Access Oklahoma plan is expected to add another $5 billion in debt to the Turnpike Authority. With that much money being spent on roads, you would think that Oklahoma would have the finest roadways in the country, right? But here's the ultimate kicker. If the Turnpike Authority somehow cannot make these payments, then the banks will gladly allow them to refinance and extend the life of the debt over and over, over and over. And that is why the Turner Turnpike between Tulsa and Oklahoma City is still tolled 3/4 of a century later, keeping you, the people of Oklahoma, and us, those who might want to visit Oklahoma, paying tolls forever. Now, who benefits from these forever tolls? Well, that isn't hard to guess. Of course, the top executives of the Turnpike Authority command fine salaries for the great service they do for the people of Oklahoma, some of the highest in the state government. And also, the big banks servicing the debt can sit back and enjoy this permanent cash flow. And who pays for it? You pay for it, my Oklahomies. It's always about the money. It always goes back to the money. Now, while toll roads like the Turner and the H.E. Bailey turnpikes that connect the state's 3 population centers do indeed generate revenue and serve a useful function, let's explore the issue with the toll roads to nowhere and why they failed and will continue to fail. First, let's talk toll roads in general. For a toll road to be useful, it needs to be a significantly better alternative to the free options in the area. It also needs to run through a corridor that attracts a large amount of traffic. Successful American toll roads include the New Jersey Turnpike and the Massachusetts Turnpike. Note that both of these toll roads connect major population centers and do indeed have free alternatives, but those free alternatives are more painful and slow to traverse compared to simply paying to drive on the toll roads. Try driving between Boston and Worcester on US 20 and see how long it takes compared to just coughing up the fee for the toll road. Failed toll roads are those that are usually inferior to the free alternative in terms of the routing, or don't really connect any useful locations. Texas 130 in Austin is a good example of a failed toll road due to the routing being inferior to simply taking the direct route of I-35 through the city. The bypass route should be the free one, while the direct, more desirable route should be tolled. Toronto, Canada is a similar case with its Ontario 407 highway, of which I'm expecting a fat bill in my mailbox for driving it for the first and last time when I visited Toronto back in November. And South Carolina's Interstate 185 in Greenville is a good example of a failed toll road due to the routing. I did a video on this one a while back and you can check it out in the description. I-185 has a strange curve before its interchange with I-85 that makes its routing a poor alternative to I-85. And it also loops around far-flung suburbs of Greenville rather than the city itself, which prevents it from being a potential bypass for I-85 through traffic. It also connects no centers of population and is outclassed by the free I-385 as an alternative for people coming from the east to reach Greenville. So what is the case with Oklahoma's toll roads? Well, let's take a look at the longest toll road in the state, the Indian Nation Turnpike. At over 105 miles of limited access roadway, it connects the bustling metropolises of Henrietta and Hugo, Oklahoma. Now, what do we have here? A route that does not have any major population centers on either end. Henrietta sits at a whopping 5,600 people, while Hugo boasts a staggering population of 5,300. Nearby McAllister and Antlers are along the route as well, which collectively add around 20,000 people to the total population along the route. If we zoom out, we can see that it also has the other ingredient for failure, and that it does not serve as a through route to major destinations. If one continues northbound along US 75, then it does indeed reach Tulsa. However, south of Hugo, one could continue to the city of Paris. No, not the one in France with the Eiffel Tower, but Paris, Texas. Population, 24,000. So the Indian Nation Turnpike serves to connect all the goods and services of Hugo, Henrietta, and McAllister to Interstate 40. How nice. Looking at the map, it actually would have been more useful to not waste funds building this route, but instead to have built up US 75, since it would have connected Tulsa to Dallas. But that made too much sense, I suppose. Next, let's look at the Cimarron Turnpike near Tulsa. Now, to be fair, this one does have a slightly more useful route, connecting Tulsa to I-35 North and giving it quicker access to Wichita, Kansas. But is there really that much travel between Wichita and Tulsa? Well, when I was on I-35, I did see lots of grass and maybe a few cars here and there. And there is a spur route linking it to Stillwater, which has around 48,000 people. One thing I will say is that if you choose to live in the Tulsa area, then you're going to be paying tolls in pretty much any direction you leave the city with, except via US 75. Despite connecting Stillwater, Tulsa, and I-35, traffic counts on the Cimarron Turnpike are not much higher than the Indian Nation Turnpike. And the last one I want to talk about is the Chickasaw Turnpike. Can you guess how useful this one is? Let's zoom out and see if there's a greater regional connection. Nope. It connects pretty much nothing with more of nothing. And to no surprise, this turnpike has the lowest traffic counts of all Oklahoma toll roads, barely seeing 3,000 vehicles per day. On the bright side, however, they only built this one with 2 lanes instead of 4, So someone did have the foresight to realize that it wouldn't be very useful. And ultimately, the question must be asked. Other than money, why did Oklahoma build these toll roads to nowhere? Well, apparently when the federal government was handing out money for roads in the 1950s and 60s, there were some parts of Oklahoma that were left out, mostly rural Oklahoma. You see, the federal government wasn't just approving any old random route in the middle of nowhere for interstate highway funds. So leaders in these rural parts of the state petitioned for toll roads in hopes of opening them up for development, they say. But recall what I said earlier about what makes a toll road useful. If a road doesn't go anywhere of note, then very few people will have reason to ride on it. If they have to pay to ride it, then you can forget about it. Therefore, the development that might otherwise come from a roadway bringing access to an undeveloped area will not occur. And even if a road is free, simply building a highway through an area will not induce demand. The other ingredients for growth must be present in order for that development to come. This can sometimes be mitigated if an area sits along a major through corridor, but not many people are traveling between Paris, Texas and Tulsa, Oklahoma, not even trucks. So the idea that people would pay to use a toll road in the middle of nowhere and for whatever reason begin to develop that area simply does not work. So if you ever hear a politician pitching a rural toll road that doesn't connect any existing population centers as a means to spur development, you know going forward that he's full of, well, you know what. Just follow the money. And there it is, guys. Toll-ahoma. Now to sum things up, too long, didn't read. Oklahoma has so many toll roads because they wanted to connect the population centers of their state without having to use federal money. They still have so many toll roads and so many more coming because banks, executives, connected politicians all make money off keeping this system going. And along with that failed idea that a rural toll road can bring economic development. But if you're from Oklahoma, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Would you rather pay tolls to get these roads built? Or would you rather pay a higher gas tax? Or would you rather the roads not be built at all? Do you think these roads are useful to the state? Do you think they'll really get paid off by 2048? Or will it take until 2100? Does anyone think we'll see a free Interstate 44 in our lifetime? Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.